Hey, hey, it's me, the little light, making it through the night. Chugga, 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 woo woo. Anyways, so it's another one of those laying in bed last night, and I kept hearing in my head, learning the levels of devils. And it made me sit down and actually have to consider, what does that even mean? And when we start out, like, I was naive. I guess I should say when I started out, I was naive and they were dumb. And as I started catching on to little things here and there, it was more not so gullible anymore, but still wanted to believe people are naturally good. I've always tried to look for the good in people, and my kids often tell me that's kind of why you end up in bad relationships, Mom, because you look for the good in bad people, and everyone has good. So when it comes down to it, like I said, I was naive, they were dumb. As I got older, they became more charming, and I was in love with love. I was the person that was like, I'm going to be like Cinderella. I'm going to be whisked off to a kingdom, and I'm just going to live happily ever after. And I guess that's still a smidgen of being naive, but it was, like I said, being in love with love. And then when I finally got what I thought was love, it became brand new devil, one I hadn't endured, which was more manipulative and abusive. And that was to take my power away from me. And I didn't realize that at the time until it became a power struggle in the end. Like, I'm about to give up my life, or I'm going to pull my power back. I'm going to find this courage and this strength to beat this devil. And when I finally got out of that situation, oh Lord, the devil's changed again. It became sorry, that light's bothering me. The devils became more provocative, like trying to get me to do things, lure me into doing old habits and making bad choices. And all the while I find myself more and more going, I don't need any of that in my life. I'm tired of fighting devils. And like I said, it starts off being almost unconscious that we're surrounded by certain spirits, that there is a spiritual warfare that's always at play in the realm that we live in. And we talk about how we all have that spirit within us. Not a devilish spirit, but a spirit. And we can see ourselves physically get sick. But when somebody is spiritually sick, it's a lot harder to see them in that aspect, especially when it's correlating to them being physically ill. Their demeanor changes, their attitude changes. Eyes can go completely black. You can have people that just have exhaustion all over their face. They're not sleeping at night, and a lot of that has to do with their dealing with devils. They're not even necessarily battling them. We can look at addicts and of hardcore drugs and say, oh, they're battling something. But when it comes down to battling internally, it's hard to understand, especially when you don't know the levels of devils. Like I said, at first they were dumb. Then they became more alluring. Like, oh, you see me, I see you. And just more and more, you want this, you want that. And it's weird because when you wake up to understanding what's around you, it's like seeing zombies everywhere. It's seeing empty, soulless individuals by the way that they behave. The turmoil that they'll put you in and not even give you an I'm sorry, or the making promises they're not going to keep, or bringing you basically to a ledge, promising you the world and just kicking you off of it. And it's amazing to me how we go through life at first very closed-minded to something. And a lot of people end up on their deathbed and their minds are still closed. You know, you might have opened your mind here, but you never saw from here. And this is the true essence of seeing, when you can open up your spiritual view, when your senses are heightened and you can start to recognize the world around you without even having to be among the world. And a lot of times it's kind of a driving force. The more that you wake up spiritually, the more that you're like, I'm just gonna like go back. I'm gonna go back way over there and I'm gonna do nothing with any of y'all. And I caught myself lashing out and telling somebody straight up about people that they're entertaining in their lives. And normally I will keep it to myself and just go my separate way. But when it came down to it, I had to let it out, because there's certain people that I refuse to entertain, and that has to do with being more closed off, knowing that there's devils out there and that they are on all different levels. And the world that we're in right now, there's things that go on, and if you didn't have these security cameras and the technology that we have, there's a lot of things that would not be known. And it's almost like, okay, at this point we're getting to see things. And I hear a lot of people go, oh, he's coming. The end is near. But I'm reminded my great-grandmother said that a long time ago. And I guess you get nearer and nearer to the end, things can become more obvious for you, right? So, hold on, sorry. Wasn't gonna let that keep playing on and on. But we're at a point where we're getting to see the true nature of greed and chaos and hatred and those devils. What they're willing to do to keep making new devils. Because it's like I've talked about several times, you know, you put good fruit with bad fruit, it's gonna spoil what's good. So it's almost like, okay, if I can get them all, I win. And there's a game like that. I don't know exactly what it is, but if you get all the pieces, I'm sure Risk is one of these games where you have to take over the continents with your army and then you get to own everything. That's just one little game. But